and we're going to look at this distinction, truth versus validity. Truth and validity are separate, but they ought to work together. We want them to work together, but they have to be examined separately, and they have to be achieved separately. So truth describes only statements. Statements are true or false. Arguments are not true or false. They're valid or invalid. Truth means whether what was stated in the statement actually is, or if it isn't. If what was stated actually is, the statement is true. If what was stated isn't, then the statement is false. And it's based on the support of the statement. How do we know if a statement is true or false? Well, we exercise that third habit of the mind, judgment, and we judge whether or not a statement is true or if it's false based on the support that we have available. And we'll talk more about that when we get to judgment. But validity, this has to do with inference. Validity is whether the premises of the argument imply the conclusion. And here's what's interesting. The premises of an argument could imply a conclusion even if the premises are false. Right? If I started replacing words in that Socrates is a man, all men are mortal argument, that argument's a valid form. And if I started exchanging the terms for other terms, it would maintain its valid form, though the statements might no longer be true. So you could have an argument with all true statements, but that doesn't mean the premises have been set up correctly to imply the conclusion. Or you could have an argument with a valid form. Those premises imply that conclusion, but one of the premises or all of the premises are false. These are two possible faults with an argument. Right? You could have someone who's a very honest person. Everything they said was true, but that doesn't make them a good arguer. Or you could have someone who's a very good arguer, but that doesn't mean that they're an honest person. And that's where at the bottom, a good argument has both true premises and what we call a valid form. And an argument that has both of those we call sound. So if an argument's valid, great, that's awesome. But are the premises also true? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to have sound arguments, not just valid arguments.